All right, guys. Hey, Sam, back with you. Friday, early afternoon, October the 20th. A couple of more good examples and a little bit of follow up on some crypto coins we've been following this week. Now, there's a good lesson here. This is Vertcoin to Bitcoin. And we had this up, I think it was yesterday, we were looking at this. And so a couple of things here. First, this should give you some idea why a Pitchfork is worth having on your chart. So we drew this box, I think 2 or 3 days ago, based on this price action and this 1, 2, right? So likely targets here. You can also see the purple line there. That's an exact 100% from this swing. From our low here, where the impulse starts, to the 3 high, down to the 4, we go to the tick, exactly 100%, right in line with the median line. Now, here's the point. So remember, when you're trying to lay out the roadmap, as I continually call it, you have to be quick to relabel based on what the market is showing you. So here's a good example. So yesterday, we had this labeled as a 1, 2, 3, right? We had this, let's see if it's, I guess I can just show it to you. So we had, here was the 1, we had a 2, we had good subdivision. We thought this was our 3, and the entry was based on a 4. Right, so I took that. So I'm in this along with Bitcoin and the dollar, and I'll show you why. So I took a stop on the first one because I was trading off of this. So here was the 2 low. The assumption was we had the 3 in. Right, so I was a buyer here. I think I was in at 333 with a very tight stop under the 6.5. So very small loser. Right, so I mean just. Right. That's exactly how you want to do it. You're making the assumption that you've got a 4 coming in. We're right at the edge of the median line. You put a tight stop on it. It goes through. Okay. So very small loser. Right. Nothing. Just another trade. Right. So now we look at it and go, well, wait a minute. What has happened here? So this swing down here has overlapped the 1. So I know if this is going to be an impulse that this no longer plays as a 1, 2, 3, 4 because it's unlikely we're in a diagonal given this structure, right? Because we're putting in a 1, 2, 3. So that would imply that we can relabel this. Well, does that fit? So if that's the case, then I've got my 3 in here, my 4 in, and then I get a 1, 2. Here's my 3, which also had fib confluence. That's why we have that box. Shallow 4, up for the 5, right at the median line. Now that makes sense. So now I can look at that and say, okay, well, if this 4, 5 completes, then on my larger scale, right, on the blue here, if I wiggle this, so here's our larger scale of our 1, 2, note the edges of the pitchfork, our 3 high is in. 3 high is in means we're now looking for the 4. Well, now here's my 1. I want to be sure that I don't overlap that. Here's my 50, right? If I take, see if I can wiggle this here so you can see it. Right, so here, if I go to my absolute low, so now since I've got a completed 5-wave structure, I'm looking for entry based on the retracement of the entire thing. Right, so I'm going to pull that off so that doesn't confuse you. Okay, so where's the likely entry if we're playing for a 4? Right here, between the 38 and the 50. Here's our Vegas wave. We come literally right into the pocket of the Vegas wave. And we start to turn, right? So there was a little help down here. We got a little pop in the RSI right as we went there, and it just ripped right off of it. So now we've got a potential 4 in play, right? So that this would be our 4 right in the box, right where we would have expected it. That the entry here was stop below the wave 1 high, because if we're going to take that out and invalidate this count, then something else is happening. So we take the 4. Now what are we looking for? So now we're looking for the 5th to subdivide into 5. Okay, so here's our 3, 4. Where's my 5? I got to put the wave on it so I can see my 5. Okay, it's way over here. So I must have been on a larger time frame. Give me a sec to find that for you. So here's my 5. Let me put that back in our picture. take the wave off of it. Refresh it, and let's go back to our hourly. Okay, so boy, this is turned out good looking trade. Okay, so now we've got a couple of upside targets up here. So you can start putting these together with targets based on your likely targets. Well, one target, of course, is going to be the negative 23. Right? Do you see that? So here's my negative 23 off of this pull, off of low to high to the 38.50 window. Here's my negative 23, which happens to be in line with the median line. Right, so likely target. Now, if we go up, I'd be very surprised if we go up straight, because we're looking for a subdivision into a 5-wave on that. So potentially what we have here is our 1 coming in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me put the wave on it so that it makes sense to you. Okay, and we'll take it down to a smaller degree. Let's go to subminuet. Okay, you're starting to see how so potentially we've got a 1 in. So if you're making the more conservative play, you're waiting for the 1, 2. So there's potentially, if you're not in, if you didn't catch this for, if you weren't seeing, you weren't watching, or you didn't know how to trade it. So now you have the potential for the 1, 2. So what, it's the exact same thing, guys, over and over again. So you just, if that's a good pivot to work with, and we don't absolutely know that it is, but if that's a good pivot, and we get some subdivision on a smaller time frame, which in the interest of time, I'll let you guys do that. You could go down to a 15-minute and see if you get some subdivision for a 1, because we don't know that that's a swing high yet. Right? We need to see it come down here and at least visit the 50 for us to call this as a good pivot for a 1. And then we're looking for the entry here. Knowing a 2 can come down low, but look, we've got good structure here off of this high here. So I would not expect that to go beyond that. So nice entry window here for this between the 50. You want to front run it by a tick or two if you're looking to get long. Between the 50 and the 618, stop on the other side of the 65, which would be on the other side of this swing high. So if you're not in that and you're waiting for the retrace, there's a nice reload there. Now, upside targets. Okay, well, we know we're here. And look how that plays with potential median line interaction. So if it's going to go straight up, then we get it there. That would be, that would be gorgeous, right? So if we get that, then you go right into the median line in the negative 23. So you, again, as I showed you in the last video, you get a time component here relative to the market geometry. So if it doesn't do that, again, so this is how you get a time factor in. Let's say we just go here, we come back to the outside edge. Remember, it's got to at least be 100% of the 1 wave. So we call it right here. Now, if it comes back down, so likely target would be, okay, no, again, just a hypothetical. This is just a hypothetical. If that's our 1, we don't want to see that 4 overlap the 1, so coming right here to the edge of the pitchfork would be a perfect entry for a 4. We know the likely entry on a 4 is between the 38 and the 50, so you draw that swing between the 2 and the 3 high, down to the edge. There's your next entry, very tight stop. Right? Always, where am I wrong? Where am I wrong? What kind of loss am I looking at? Does that hurt me? If you're just, again, hypothetically, if you're able to get the long there and it holds, and now you're going up, now you start looking at these alternate targets here, and this all has to move out to the, you have to go out further in time. You see, so here would be the negative 618. So you start getting a time element into it based on the structure and how it's aligning with the pitchfork. So pitchfork it's probably the single most underutilized technical tool in technical analysis. It's absolutely astonishing to me how few people use it, yet it's in every trading platform that's ever been created. Most people just ignore it, don't even consider it. That's why most people lose money trading, right? It's just absolutely an essential tool. I encourage you, every time you get 3 decent pivots, put a pitchfork on it. You'll be absolutely amazed. Go this weekend, start pulling up random charts. I don't care what the asset is. You get 3 good pivots, start putting some pitchforks on it. You'll never trade without it again. Okay, so here, if we're going to come down here, and this looks like this might be playing ball. So if we're going to come down here for an entry, here's a possible. possible entry. It sure would be a very tight stop. Very tight stop. So that could play. Then you know your target is likely up here looking for a tap of the median line. Always looking for the revisit to the median line. Next retrace, outside edge. Revisit to the median line. If it goes through it, target is the other side of the median line. Okay, that's Vertcoin. Let's go over... this is follow-up on one we looked at yesterday or the day before. You've got good wave structure here, but you've gone into a very ugly correction here. So what can we say with certainty? Well, we do have this nice structure here into a 1-2, and then we get good subdivision here for a 3-4-5 to complete what we see, what I currently have labeled as a 3 high. We go to and through the -23. We don't make the -618, so we've got some bigger targets up above. So now we're talking about a different time frame here, so let me get that off to the side, as that doesn't potentially play, because we've got targets. If I take this to the 4 hour, you can see where that's coming from. If we're in a 1-2 on this larger time frame, then we're just getting started here. So the potential here goes much higher. So we would be looking for a 3 to complete here. That would be the 5 of this 3, 4, complete it into a 3, come down for the 4, and then upside targets, considerably higher. All right, now let's put that more into a tradable time frame. So we'll go down to the 1 hour. Well, what can we see? Well, we have yet to wick. We have not overlapped the 1 high. That does not, look how close we come here. That does not happen by accident. That's a few ticks from it. Now we've gone into, it's either an A, B, C, D, E, or we get an A, B, C because of that 5-wave subdivision into a C. This could be an X, and we're going to put in another A, B, C. Either way, it's corrective, right? So clearly we can see that that's corrective, not impulsive. How we label it, doesn't really matter, right? We'll leave that to the Elliott academics. What can I see? I can see that my Vegas wave is holding it. We had a little wick through here, but we didn't get to the 1. The 618 and the 65 seems to be respecting that zone, but we've got chop. We're just choppy here. This is Syscoin against the dollar on Poloniex. So it's tradable because we've got some pivots that we can work from, so where we can get very low risk entry here. So where do we know, where does the market prove us wrong? If it wicks out, it takes out this 1 wave high. So there's very, what do we hear? $1, we're not even to it. We're at 17, 18. 0.17, 0.18, your stop is down here at 0.16. I mean, these are low dollars. So these are positions that you can be relatively aggressive here because the dollar risk is so low and the upside is absolutely enormous, right? So here we've got targets up here, at 0.29. So there's a lot of potential here, and you can be aggressive there, but we don't have a lot of clarity other than we're in some sort of corrective action, and we know we've got a hard pivot here. If it takes this out, then our count is wrong, and we reevaluate. Not a lot of help here from the oscillators. We're kind of stuck in a corrective zone. So one to watch. I'm not saying jump on it, but you get a nice little, just if you draw your trend line here, you get this nice little action. Then we've got, draw it again. So across the lows here, we can see how this is providing it. So we get a bit of a descending triangle. You can go up to the swing highs if you wanted to. So a rip through that. So what are we looking for? We need to see evidence of an impulse now to get out of this corrective state. So we want to see something like that. Break the trend line. There's our impulse setting up for the 1 of 5 of 3. Right? It makes more sense to you. It'll be easier to track it if you're doing this on your own chart. All right, that's not what I want. Here's my 3. Here's my 4. I've got targets up here for that 5. So what am I looking for? I want to see that break, and then I want to see the retrace. So this becomes a 1-2. 3 is the money maker, so that would be 3 of 5 of 3. I know it sounds more complicated when you're trying to verbalize it to someone than if you have it on your chart and you can kind of quantify it yourself and look at it and go, okay, well, if this is my 3, that's my 4, that completes my 5. So, this we may be completing up in this zone. Of course, you could, a channel or a pitchfork, equally valuable. So depending on the depth of it. So since we've got this kind of action, right? So a channel and a modified shift pitchfork are essentially the exact same thing. So you could either put the channel on it. Sometimes I'll do both and look for intersection. Okay, so this is what I mean by intersection. So where the channel and the median line intersect. So we've got a long target up here. And so you look at that, boy, that's really far out in time. No, that's 5 days away. That's 5 days away. Should we see that? So that's a contender one to watch if you're trying to buy it here in the chop. You're rolling the dice that the pivot is in, because we haven't taken out the one wave here. So nothing wrong with it. Your risk is so incredibly small that's tradable. You want to be more conservative and you're looking to be more aggressive because you like Syscoin. You wait for the impulse, catch the next retracement. All right, how am I doing on time? There's 16 minutes. Okay, here's something I wanted to show you guys. So on a day like today where we've got Bitcoin just absolutely ripping, I'm always curious to see, well, if Bitcoin is up this much, who can hang with Bitcoin? Who's not getting crushed that's being spread against Bitcoin? So I'll go over here to our crypto market and look at it on trading volume. So I'll start with trading volume and see where's all the volume today. So I want to see who's got the most volume. Right, and of course, likely to be Ethereum. You're not going to see Bitcoin, right? Because we're spreading against Bitcoin. So, I want to see what kind of contenders do I have here that are holding their own. It doesn't surprise me that we've got a lot of red here, but who's holding their own? So one that I see here is QTUM, which is a coin that I've looked at before. And I want to see it's doing pretty well against Bitcoin. How's it doing against the dollar? And I see here it's 2 and 3, both of these on the day. So that's a lot of volume. So, if you haven't done this before, this is a new coin to you. I encourage you to go over to CoinGecko. They have a nice ranking system. I tell you to look for coins with a ranking of 50 or higher. This has been over 50. We're down to 48, but close enough to take a look at it. I know this is a major crypto. It's got a market cap of 855 million. So this is, no small crypto, and it's been around for a while. So, if you want to learn more about it, look at this, Google Trends is just flying. So this is getting a lot of action, and we've got a huge market cap. So this is one to look at. So let's go see, what we can see here. Now, so the first thing we want to see is, is it technical? Or another way to say that would be, are algos in? So let's see, I'm on a 4 hour here. Well, here's the crazy ICO, right? So that's why I tell you that you don't mess with any of that. You wait until you get some data to work with here. So I can see some sort of a 3, 4, 5 structure. Then we start the retracement. So do I get any pulls here that are meaningful? Tell me anything, show me any signs of algo life. Well, there's my first one. Well, we wick through. We're a little heavy here. I don't love this, so I might have to take it down to a smaller time frame to get some sense of it. So I don't love it, but it's probably there on smaller time frames. If I look here, we had this one. There's to the 50, we get to 618. So it's not the prettiest I've ever seen, but look what starts to happen when we start coming down. So I'm going to go from swing high here to swing low. Okay, if you don't think there are algos in this market, then you guys have not been paying attention. Okay, here is the quintessential tick-to-tick algo trade from the from our high to our low. We go first to the 50 and get a little reaction. Then we go up to the 618. It's shy of a tick. And look at where it goes to target. Right? That is just so classic. The textbook algo target. Right? That's how they're written. So 618. Look at this. We come back, we revisit the 50 before heading down to target within a tick of the negative 23. So what does that tell me? It tells me algos are in. Okay, well, if algos are in, then it becomes predictable. I can start to gauge where they're trading. So from this low, I can start to look and say, well, maybe I get some sort of, I don't like this as an impulse, which we saw across crypto. As I've reminded people, the unskilled, lazy, or just lacking knowledge acknowledge Ellioticians calling that a one wave. It's not a one wave. That's a three wave correction. So we can't call that a one. So our count begins here. So if I pull from this low to my high here, okay, if anybody is surprised by that, you haven't been paying attention. Where do we go? Right between the 618 and the 65. That should not be a surprise. Now we rip higher. We wick through the negative 23. We're shy, so we're kind of in no man's land. So what we can say is that we've got algo activity, but we've already missed the first trade. So here, is there another trade? I would be waiting here. You don't get great structure here if that's a 1-2. This is not a good-looking 3, so maybe we're into a 1-2 again. Algos are in, but I think you've missed the first trade here, so I would be just waiting. So we go low to high. Now, we're at the Vegas wave. We're between the 50 and the 618. Not enough for me to take that trade, but that's one that I want on my radar because I know algos are in, and they're trading it. So I'd like to see something, more impulsive come out of this. Right now, it'd be hard to get a decent count on that. And I will, often tell you, if the count isn't obvious and easy to see, keep moving. Look for the next trade. Right now, I don't see a clear count, but I am seeing good action from the fib pulls. I had one other I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, so here's. You looked at Vertcoin. Where was the other one that I had? Well, maybe I didn't have another one. All right, maybe I'm calling it a day. What are we at? 21 minutes? Well, maybe we can wrap there unless I have something else that I can spot. Oh, I did have somebody wanted to see Neo. This is Neo against Bit. So it should no surprise here, right? So here's Neo to the dollar. We can get a nice 1, 2, 3, 4 is in. We got the little pop yesterday. It ran right into the negative, or pardon me, went right to the 618 and we stalled. Now we're outside of the pitchfork. Does that mean that it's invalidated? Well, no, not necessarily. We are still holding this as a pivot for a 4 low, and we had potential for this to be a 1-2. I don't love the look of that, but it's tradable. So if that's going to hold, the only way to trade that would be, I'm going to take this off because we know we ran into that. So we've got the box drawn down here. This would be between the 618 and the 65 and the negative 23 from this pull, right? From our low, here we go to the 618. That would be the target. Thus the box drawn down here, which lines up with the channel. So we could, with the pitchfork, go to an outside edge. So we could put the 1.5 on it. See if that's going to contain it. Well, that lines up rather nicely. If this low is taken out, I like it less and less. Then you'd be pulling the pitchfork down here. Do you see what, again, much like relabeling, if you get a new pivot, then you pull your pitchfork down to the new swing low. We maintain a target up here, so that still potentially plays. We're just changing the 4. So we might have, so we get this see the 5-wave subdivision here into an A wave, 3-wave into a B. Now it's some sort of a, choppy C into a 4. Again, it's not clear. So when in doubt, either you're out or you're waiting for more evidence to see something like this. If this is going to be a 1, then I got to see this hold. If this gets taken out, then I don't want to be in. Then my expectation is we're going down to the 618. So then we're going down here. If that's the case, then we're relabeling. Now, I like this trade a lot better from a risk-reward standpoint because look where my wave 1 high is. Right? So here's my 61865. Here's my negative 23 from that pull. Here's my wave 1 high. So that's a trade that I can take with a very tight stop. So my upside target, so let's just look at it. So if you're entering here, there's my median line and my negative 23 target. My stop is I don't want to see it go beyond that wave 1 high. So there's 9.5 to 1. If it comes down there, we don't know that it's going to, but it doesn't look great right now. So if that's going to take out this little pocket that we had down here based off of the 50, All right, if it's going to take that out, then this would be the next place you'd be looking for entry. Actually, you'd want to be a little bit ahead of the 618, expecting that. So we pull that down below the wave 1. Here's our wave high. So, assuming we're just going to get up to the median line, the negative 23, now that gives us 8.6 to 1 with a little tweak on that entry. 8.6 to 1, I'll take that all day long, right? Knowing that this, if I get stopped out, that's not going to hurt me. Just another trade. If it rips, beautiful. Love it. Love it. If I get stopped out, not going to hurt me. No one trade is going to hurt me. I don't put myself in a position where any one trade is really going to damage my account. It's not going to hurt me. So right here, I'm just looking at that going, I want to alarm that. We get a little bit lower. I want to know about that. So maybe this swing pivot. So here's a good spot for an alarm. We come up and we tag that. I want to know. If we're going to break this low, I want to know. So those are areas just to put an alarm on it so you don't forget about it, right? There's so many cryptos to look at. So you want to be alarming them so you get reminded, oh, I remember that trade. I like it. And I like this potential structure here. Now we could change that structure a little bit if we're going to go down. So we might look at it this way and say, oh, come here. If that's going center of the channel, that all lines up rather nicely. So I like that trade more than I like this because I don't like this action. So if it's going to come down here, I've got lower risk. My target didn't change, so I've got better risk reward. Does that make sense? All right, there's 26 minutes. That'd probably be it for the day. Hope you guys are catching some of that Bitcoin action. Okay, guys, back to you later.